BIBFRAME, a presentation by Greg Stark, Dana Fontaine, Amanda Shelton, Bonnie Busey, and Elizabeth Harder, graduate students in the School of Library and Information Science program at the University of Missouri-Columbia. So what is BIBFRAME? BIBFRAME stands for Bibliographic Framework, and it's essentially a data model that makes library resources visible online. Online visibility is key because libraries want users to be able to access the resources they need wherever they are. Nowadays, folks start their searches on Google or Wikipedia and share their research through social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter. BibFrame is also seen as a replacement for machine-readable cataloging, or MARC. The MARC standard was developed back in the 60s to make bibliographic records usable by computers. MARC was the basis for the OPAC records that make items searchable in library catalogs. The Library of Congress wants to move away from MARC and transition into an online environment. The goal is to convert the library's metadata into a language that non-library machines can read, so search engines can link to it on the web. BibFrame does this by using the semantic web and linked data. The semantic web refers to the process of coding information in a way that lets machines understand its meaning. This allows interrelated information to be linked together, which creates linked data. This slide shows how the BibFrame model organizes linked data. The model is a work in progress and does allow for structural fixes along the way, but the conceptual ideas, the abstractions, those are best engaged sooner rather than later. BibFrame arranges cataloging information into three core levels of abstraction: work, instance, and item. Work, the creative intellectual content being cataloged, includes information like author and what it's about. Instance, the physical embodiment of the work, includes information like the publisher and format. Item, the actual copy of an instance being cataloged, includes information like location, call number, and barcode. This is how the BibFrame model appears today, but it will continue to evolve as adjustments are made to better align it with linked data principles and practices.
BibFrame was created by the Library of Congress in 2011 to not exactly replace MARC, but to update it, to evolve MARC for modern times. In 2012, the Library of Congress contacted Zephyria. Zephyria is a consulting firm that helps in the creation of uniform vocabularies for handling data and writing rules systems. Eric Miller is on the forefront of this change, and he wants to build onto MARC, and he wants to evolve it into modern times.
Hi, I'm Amanda Shelton, and I'll be exploring why BibFrame is important. But first, let's start with some context, courtesy of the course textbook. Bibliographic control is, quote, the skill or art of organizing knowledge, information, for retrieval, end quote. There are various bibliographic tools that can assist with this effort, such as search engines, finding aids, and, of course, catalogs. These bibliographic tools have three important functions. They help users with identifying resources, gathering related resources together, and evaluating resources. The library catalogs of today largely live on computers, so the metadata records they contain need to be put in a format that computers can understand. MARC is the encoding schema or format that catalogers currently use for doing that, but it's quite dated now. BibFrame offers a new encoding schema that will take better advantage of the rapidly growing capabilities of the digital world. BibFrame is based on linked data, so it will connect library data with the rest of the internet. With linked data, the various pieces of metadata get their own unique web identifier called a URI. Think of this like a web address, but for a concept rather than a website. Computers will be able to keep track of the relationships between concepts by reading these URIs. So what are the benefits of BibFrame and linked data? For users, BibFrame will help with finding specific library resources in web searches and help with finding related resources in web searches. If these sound familiar, it's because they very squarely fit in with those core functions of bibliographic tools that we discussed earlier. With BibFrame and linked data, we are simply using technology to enhance our work in these same directions. The benefits don't end there, however. For libraries, BibFrame will help with less maintenance and risk of error and other important benefits. But why should we, as inexperienced, not yet librarians, care about BibFrame? It may seem far off, but as current students, we will soon be a part of the generation of librarians that will see the shift from MARC to BibFrame. Although it won't happen tomorrow, we do need to understand that it's coming down the road. The move to BibFrame and the technologies involved may require librarians to learn new skill sets, and we should be prepared to discuss BibFrame in job interviews. Finally, change can be scary, but it can also present opportunities. While BibFrame is being developed, we can get involved. Let's contribute some of that new librarian energy to the cause.
Now that we know what BibFrame is, its history, and its importance, I would like to show you the patron side of one version of a BibFrame-based discovery library platform. These screenshots were taken from a January 2020 webinar sponsored by Innovative Interfaces Incorporated at Cairn University, showcasing the Inspire Discovery Library platform. In the first image, a patron is searching for Alexander Hamilton. There is a link directly below that gives the patron the option to view the person. When the patron clicks this link, they are then presented with a screen showing the available resources related to Alexander Hamilton as shown in image 2. Scrolling down from the same screen, you see links for related people and topics associated with Alexander Hamilton, image 3. Image 4 is a context wheel which patrons get if they click on the circular button in the very upper corner of the screen as shown in image 2. This is an easy-to-view snapshot of related resources. As you can see, patrons are able to access a wealth of information from a simple search by accessing the various links provided in the record. Now let us look at BibFrame Editor, which a cataloger would use. When you advance to the next slide, the screen will appear black. Simply click on the outline of the video camera on the left side of the screen to start a short demonstration. When the demonstration finishes, continue to the next slide to learn about the future of BibFrame from Elizabeth. According to the Library of Congress BibFrame Manual, when a resource is cataloged, a book for example, the resulting description includes information elements such as the author, what the book is about, various published forms, and information about copies of the book. BibFrame 2.0 organizes this information into 3 core levels of abstraction: work, instance, and item. I'm going to briefly show you the Creator of Work tab in the BibFrame editor so that you can see how the data is entered and linked to the Library of Congress authority files. So let's get started. We'll click on BibFrame editor, and you'll notice that a list of records appears. In this case, we are going to be using Canterbury Tales. But if your record hadn't been entered yet and you needed to start from scratch, you would just click on Editor, create a resource, and then choose your type of resource. And then here you could choose from instance or work, and it would pull up a record for you. But since we already have a record, we'll choose Browse. And then over on the far right, you'll see an Edit button next to Canterbury Tales. And next to the Creator of Work, we'll click on Primary Contribution, and then Person, And you'll notice that a box pops up next to search the Library of Congress name authority file. And in this case, since our creator is Geoffrey Chaucer, we'll enter Chaucer. And you'll notice that it has a drop-down menu of choices. And if you highlight or hover over the name that you're interested in, over on the left-hand side, you'll see that a record pops up with the information. And at the very bottom is a little link that you can click on to see where the information is being pulled from. So in this case, we'll go back and continue to click on his name. And we'll click Save Changes and Save Changes one more time. And you'll notice that his name has been added to our record. To view where this information has been pulled from, if you hadn't been the one that entered it, you could click on the Edit button next to his name and then click Edit next to Geoffrey Chaucer again. And the I pops up next to the person, and you'll notice that a link is shown there for where the information is pulled from. So we'll click Save Changes, Save Changes. And you would continue linking data in this fashion until you had completed the record. You'll notice that there are several fields that you can enter information into. So I think the big takeaway is that unlike MARC, where data fields get populated with copies of data, BIBFRAME gets linked back to a master data source. And this linkage ensures consistency of records both at creation and for the incorporation of the updates. This concludes what I wanted to show you about BIBFRAME Editor. Thank you.
All right, so the future of BIBFRAME. BIBFRAME has picked up a lot of speed just in the last few years, but there's still a lot of goals for it moving forwards. Some of these future goals are making library records visible online, building a network of libraries using BIBFRAME, and developing a rich network of data. Things are moving well on implementing BIBFRAME in libraries and ILS. More and more are utilizing BIBFRAME. For example, Innovative Interfaces recently launched an ILS called Vega Discoverer that utilizes BIBFRAME. So they're making a big deal of that on their site. And the Library of Congress has a list of libraries that are making the switch. Along with that list that they have, Library of Congress is also helping libraries convert to BIBFRAME by creating a MARC to BIBFRAME conversion tool. And that was made really recently, just last year, in fact. So the usage of BIBFRAME can only increase from here as it becomes more accessible to people. Also going on in the BIBFRAME world is the continued progress of the Linked Data for Production project. This project was started in 2018 by Stanford Libraries, Cornell University, Harvard University, and the University of Iowa to advance the implementation of linked data in libraries. And in 2020, they received a further grant to move forward to their next stage. The Linked Data for Production project is currently in stage 3 and is being actively worked on and updated. There's actually going to be an online conference for it this July, so it is very much moving forward and going on right now. So it's currently in stage 3. Stage 3 of the Linked Data for Production project will focus on shifting towards more sustainable models, for example, by expanding the participation industry partners such as OCLC, ShareVeed, and the Wikidata communities. So basically just getting linked data more accessible to more places. So yeah, that's going on right now, and that should run through June 2022.